Hey everyone, happy Monday. So today is the wellness in 2 words phrase is ditch sugar. So there have been some people who kind of ask me, okay, so if I want to go keto, how do I do this? How do I eliminate sugar from my diet? So this is a video to kind of help you with that. So there's going to be ditch sugar parts 1, 2, and 3 because it's a pretty complex, broad topic. But I just want to start with number 1. Today is focusing mainly on sugar substitutes, sugar alternatives, that kind of thing. So, and pardon the noise, it's a beautiful day outside. It's just, we're having great weather here in Tennessee, so I love it. I can't resist being outside, so sorry about the lawnmower next door. Okay, so there are certain terms that we're going to be using in here, but these, I want to give you some practical solutions about how to change out sugar and how to possibly achieve ketosis with them. So I think people kind of innately will have either a savory or a sweet palate or preference. I personally am a savory girl. I love salt and butter and all things oily. So for me, it was less of a struggle to eliminate sweet foods, but there are certain people that it's like I cannot not have sweetened tea. I have to have my coffee sweet versus unsweetened, and so I think hopefully this will give you some solutions for that, so that you can kind of stay low carb and make it easy to switch into a low carb or keto type lifestyle. Let me refer you back to the Eat Keto and Read Labels videos, and if you haven't yet subscribed, I have a YouTube channel for that now, and so you could subscribe to that, and then also put the little notification on for when there's a new video, so that we don't have to just stay within the Facebook realm as well. So I would say for that, keep in mind you need to read your labels, because often there are hidden sugars or sweeteners that are required to be listed on the package, and so you'll see on there things like maltodextrin, dextrose, high fructose corn syrup, those kind of things. Those are going to have a glycemic effect. They will kick you out of ketosis. They're not on the okay list, just so you know. Okay, so I'm going to be using some different terms in this video. One of them is a polyol or a sugar alcohol. That is not the same as ethanol or what we know as the fun alcohol. So anyway, sugar alcohols are certain compounds that don't really have a net effect on your blood sugar. So there are a lot of common ones out there. So when I say sugar alcohol, that just refers to its chemical structure, not the fact that it's not like ethanol alcohol. Okay, and a lot of these sweeteners are considered non-nutritive, which means they don't have calories, they don't have a nutritional value, they really don't have a physiologic benefit in the sense that they give your body something, but they have certain effects though because of their chemical structures that you will benefit from, if that makes any sense. Okay, number 1, stevia. Stevia is also from a plant. It's called sweet leaf. Its chemical structure is a glycoside, and that actually is not absorbed by your body, but it's perceived as sweet. Stevia is actually perceived as 200 times sweeter than sugar, so a little bit will go a long way. It'll come in a syrup, a powder, or an extract. I know Trader Joe's has an extract, but I'm not a stevia fan, so I haven't really used a lot of stevia. I probably need to investigate it more. Again, I tend not to like things super sweet, but it's a great thing to sweeten beverages. It's a great addition to lots of things. There are different blends, stevia and the raw, which is like a cane sugar stevia blend, so it can cut your carbs, but it's not going to be a 0 carb substitute. And be careful to read the label because some of them are cut with maltodextrin or dextrose, and so that can be a problem. So the powders can be a little more of a problem. It's a little harder to have those lurk in the syrups and the extracts. And I also read somewhere that some people recommend storing the extract in the refrigerator so that it stays refrigerated, because once it gets cloudy, there's a question of whether or not it could still be safe for consumption, and it's not an inexpensive sweetener, so you definitely want to make sure that you care for it. So they suggested refrigerating it. Again, I don't have a lot of experience with that. Okay, my personal favorite, erythritol. It's also marketed as Swerve. You can get it just as plain erythritol in a bulk supplement. I prefer the Swerve. And it comes in different formulations. There's brown sugar, if you wanted to make something with brown sugar in it. There is the confectioner's variety, which you can make icing for, say, cookies or something in it. I haven't tried it for a cake. I don't eat a lot not a cake. And then there's also the granulated or granular form of it, which you can sweeten with, you can sweeten berries or anything you want to put a sprinkle as a topping on it, like fresh fruit. Or you can actually bake with it 1-to-1 ratio in baking. So it's really good for baking because it's chemically pretty stable. It's about 70 to 80% times as sweet as sugar in terms of perception. So, you know, you could easily, if you've got other flavors in a cookie or something like that, or a muffin or like a banana bread, you could easily do a 1-to-1 substitution and probably not miss that much sugar. Okay, so it is a low molecular weight sugar alcohol. So when something is low molecular weight, it means it typically is very absorbable, it's very available in terms of getting into your bloodstream. Higher molecular weight compounds can kind of tend to pass through because they're larger often, and so they can't get through those absorptive channels. So it has no calories, there's no insulin response typically with erythritol. And there are other sugar alcohols out there that can tend to cause more GI upset. Some of the more notorious ones are like sorbitol, which is actually used often as a laxative. Xylitol, which in large quantities can cause some GI upset. Maltitol. Xylitol is typically in like sugar-free gum and sugar-free type dental like stuff. So anyway, xylitol and possibly even things like erythritol are very similar in their chemical structure, so they're not advised for pets. Consumption by pets can cause problems because they don't have the liver enzymes to help break it down when it does get absorbed. Okay, erythritol, to eat enough erythritol to cause significant GI side effects, the math on one of the pages said 1 gram per kilogram, which means for the average male who's not overweight or obese, that's like 70 to 80 kilograms of body weight. So you'd have to eat 70 to 80 grams of erythritol, which would kind of be a lot of erythritol. Like for instance, like there's 4 grams in this, so you'd have to eat literally 4 grams in a teaspoon. You'd have to eat a bunch of teaspoons of erythritol to start beginning to get GI side effects. The reason why erythritol has less GI side effects is because 90% of it gets absorbed into your bloodstream and then it's excreted in your urine. So it doesn't even really make it to the large intestine or the colon to cause diarrhea. So that's actually a good thing because it's low molecular weight again. Let's see. So if you, okay, Swerve is the brand name for that, and I'll give you an affiliate link for that. But if you look on this label, this is what's great about it. It says total carbs 4 grams, right? But if you look here, it also says erythritol is 4 grams. So basically, this is all erythritol. Some of them are mixed with what they call fructooligosaccharides, big fancy name for a bunch of fructose molecules that are linked together. And the larger that chain of them, then the less likely it's going to be absorbed. And so again, it's physiologically inert. And downstream, your intestine bacteria love it and they break it down, but we'll talk more about that in a minute. Okay, so again, this is great for baking, topping it on fruit. Start low, go slow so you don't get any potential GI side effects. Keep it away from your pets, if that helps. Okay, monk fruit. This is one that I don't know much about, so I'll talk about it briefly, but apparently it's also called the longevity fruit. In Asian cultures, China, Vietnam, other places like that, it's a really big sweetener. It's called a mogroside, which again, I'm not familiar with, but it's like a plant glycoside. I was looking at my little notes here. Also has some antioxidant activity, so yeah, I don't know a lot about this. I'm sorry. I'll just say that right now. So if you're interested in trying it, apparently, again, it's like stevia in terms of its sweetening capacity. A little bit goes a long way. It's about 200 times as sweeter than sugar. So it's something to think about, and I really don't know if it's good for baking, so this needs a little more research. Maybe I'll have to try it. I just stick with erythritol because it works great for me. Number 4, Inulin. So this is also it's a fructan, which is a fructooligosaccharide, big chain long of fructose molecules. So again, the longer the chain, the bigger the chain, the less likely it is to be absorbed. So basically, you eat it, it goes through your GI tract, it doesn't go into your bloodstream. And then the bacteria downstream break it down. So it doesn't have any impact on your blood sugar. You could get a little bit of gas if you're not careful. That's what they say. It's not really something that's well advised to use for baking, just because of it may not be as sweet. It just depends on the formulation. Like high performance inulin tends to not be as sweet. This is more of like an additive to your foods. You could put it on fruit, that kind of thing. It is termed a prebiotic fiber. So bacteria love it kind of as food or fuel or fertilizer for good bacteria. So it's basically like an additive. You can put it in a smoothie. You could, you know, again, put it on fruit or something like that. It depends on whether or not it's how sweet you want things. Okay, so the great thing about that is inulin breaks down by the bacteria in your intestine into short chain fatty acids, which are great compounds for brain health, and they may actually be beneficial in terms of preventing colon cancer. There's still some research out there that's not 100% understood, and also in terms of helping with fatty liver, triglyceride count, that kind of stuff. So that would be a great thing if inulin can help you that way. It's often derived from bananas, asparagus. There's like chicory root, which one source said to be careful with that with breastfeeding. I'm not 100% sure why, so just do a little research on that. I will work on that for you. Garlic, jicama, onions, artichoke, both Jerusalem and globe artichoke, yacon root, and wild yam. So a lot of things that I might not eat on their own, except the garlic and the onions, but the inulin fiber in it is great when it's broken down, and you can add it to your food. So again, great for like a smoothie, if you wanted to do a smoothie with some erythritol and inulin, and then some really good things like kale and that kind of stuff, get a little sweeter flavor. So those short chain fatty acids are really important for brain health too, because in the Eat Keto video I referred to them because remember they measure the fatty acids to and from the brain in terms of ketosis rate. So your brain loves short chain fatty acids. You have more mental clarity and less mental fatigue with those. Butyric acid is one of the most important ones, and that actually helps the right bacteria grow in your intestines. We'll talk more about gut health later, but it is a super important thing. So, okay, now keep in mind, insulin is different than inulin. So inulin is INULIN versus insulin, which is one of the two death hormones. Insulin and cortisol are the two hormones that are catabolic, which means they break down tissue, they don't build it up, and they're bad for metabolic health and can enhance premature aging. So the reason why we do keto and use these sugar type substitutes is to prevent insulin release, to prevent glycemic response, so that you can stay healthy in a metabolic sphere. Okay, so things to avoid. Oh my gosh, I don't drink diet sodas. If I drink any kind of Coke or any kind of soda, it's gonna be Coke Life. To me, it tastes almost like real Coke. So it does have some cane sugar in it. So if I've been out doing some yard work and I want like a cold, frosty Coke beverage, then I'll get Coke Life. So it is sweetened with stevia. So it's like half stevia, half cane sugar, but at least that gives you half of the carbs that you would have before. Versus things like Coke Zero, Diet Coke, some of those are actually sweetened with things that are not okay for you. So I really avoid anything that has aspartame, saccharin, sucralose, which is Splenda, if you can avoid it, and fructose, like high fructose corn syrup. That's not the same as a fructooligosaccharide. That's different. High fructose corn syrup is a different type substance. Can be implicated in fatty liver disease, those kind of things, just because it's very inflammatory. And I actually saw a study about Splenda, thermal instability. This is on PubMed. That it can be a little unstable when it's at certain temperatures and can release what are called polychlorinated aromatic hydrocarbons. Doesn't sound like it's friendly for you, but even the temperature at which you would make like a hot tea or a hot beverage, that Splenda could not be healthy for you in those circumstances. So again, that's one study. One study does not constitute a majority, but keep in mind there could be some merit to that study. So as of yet, erythritol has not been implicated in any health problems. There was a question, did it contribute to weight gain in a select population? I saw in one study, but I wouldn't say that, again, one study constitutes a majority, so keep that in mind. All right, so there are some options for you in terms of sugar substitutes. I had a thing of inulin out here, but I must have taken it back inside. Oh, and then chocolate. Oh gosh, you can't forget chocolate. Okay, first of all, Raw local honey is a really good choice if you do want to do something sweet. Now that will have a glycemic effect on your blood sugar, keep that in mind, but there are so many other health benefits and economy benefits of local raw honey that I can't wait to go to Market Square and get some soon. But chocolate choices. Lily's is great. They make chocolate chips. They also make bar chocolate. It's delicious. It's sweetened with stevia, so I do like it in that, in small amounts. And then also, this is at Trader Joe's, this milk chocolate. They also make a dark chocolate, the Simply Light. It is sweetened with erythritol. It is delicious, and I have not had any issues with it whatsoever. So I would say, when you look at this, it's got, okay, 14 grams of carbs, but 9 of them come from sugar alcohols. So that still means you have 5 grams of net carbs. Oh wait, but then there's 3 grams of dietary fiber. So 2 grams of net carbs in this luscious milk chocolate bar. And I wouldn't be able to eat the whole thing either. So that's not bad. And then Lily's right here. So it's a little bit more, it's a little sweeter. So 22 grams total carbs, minus the 12 from the fibers, 10 grams of carbs. And then erythritol is 6 grams, so it's 4. So you've got 4 grams of carbs in this luscious chocolate bar. So that's a good way to, if you want to keep with the sweet and the chocolate. All right, thanks for watching. And again, we're going to talk more about sugar and its inflammatory effects on your body soon. And then we'll talk about recipes, that sort of thing. But I would say if you want to bake and do something sweet, try the erythritol, try the Swerve. You may be pleasantly surprised in how it tastes. So happy Monday, and I will talk to you soon. Thanks.